All right, so let's kind of go over what I'm looking at, and I'm just gonna play some. I usually like having some sort of lo-fi in the background to keep me calm. Let's go and play something here, and then we'll go over the market analysis. Market open just happened, so I'm gonna keep it on the 5-minute chart. Let's go ahead and pull up ES as well. Gold rallying on the day. Let's go and pull the ES chart. I am expecting lower prices in the market with the indices expecting continuation lower. We are getting a sell-off here off the open. Will be important to watch how these 5-minute bar closes and see if we get any sort of continuation. Let me go ahead and post all of this out, announce this in. Before I do that, let me go ahead and show you guys levels I'm looking at here. Again, the main level I'm watching is the previous 3-month bar low. I don't know if you've reached that in today's trading session, but that's a level I'm going to be paying attention to. Let me also post this here inside of Discord. Let me go back to the 5-minute chart. I should have had all this prep beforehand. Let's go ahead and post. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Let's post this in trading floor chat. Post this here, and then post this, and then we'll just add everyone here. There we go. All right, we're good. Pull up that. Good there. Let me go ahead and post this in the Telegram as well. So pretty big wick to the downside, about 50 points on this 5-minute opening bar. Usually with my trading, kind of how I like to do things is I like waiting for the 5-minute to close. If I'm not in a trade already, I like waiting for the 5-minute to close. And all right, there we go. Now I can focus. Just need to send out all notifications. I like waiting for the 5-minute bar to close if I'm not in a trade already. Sometimes I do like entering a trade before pre-market. Let's go ahead and look at the 15-minute chart here. So we have ES on the left, NQ on the right. On the lower time frames, it looks like ES seems to be a little weaker, but higher time frame, I still think the NASDAQ is weaker here. So I'm going to continue with that bias here with the NASDAQ, looking for continued downside in this market bigger picture. When you look at the weekly chart, again, one thing I do want to show here, which I'll pull up, close that out. What are we pulling up here? Let's go and pull this up. And let's go to the NASDAQ. Again, this is my website, so if you guys want to get access to it, it's in the description of the live stream. This is something I update myself. The daily chart on the NASDAQ is bearish in my view. Again, I update this based off my system. The weekly chart is in a consolidation. And if we go ahead and look at ES is in a mixed kind of trading range on the daily. Weekly is consolidation. So I can see a bias for both on the daily chart with ES, but the weekly is in a consolidation like the NASDAQ. And then if we take a look at the YM, the daily and weekly chart on the YM leans more bullish. So I think understanding that is very important when you hop into the charts, getting an idea of where structure is, and I guess where the money's flowing in and out of is pretty important. we do have news as well. We have FOMC minutes, which is kind of just sometimes there can be some new things that are said in that report that comes out, the FOMC minutes, but it's kind of just like a recap of the last FOMC. So I don't think anything too interesting will happen when that comes, but things can happen. On the 15-minute chart, the kind of 15-minute trend we're seeing here is bearish in terms of you had a high here that was made at 7:15, you made a lower high here at 8:30. Same thing with ES here. I guess you kind of have a divergence here on the 15-minute chart where ES made a lower high at 7:15, while the NASDAQ made a higher high here. Well, I guess at 7, I should say, at 7. So here you have a kind of lower time frame divergence in the market. On the 4-hour, you do have another divergence here where you have the NASDAQ failing to trade above that 10 a.m. high on Friday, which I think was the high of Friday. Let me mark that out. So Friday's high, you can see here, ES traded into Friday's high, the NASDAQ not able to trade into Friday's high. So I would want to see this gap right here from the Friday high to the Wednesday low to be somewhat of a kind of breakaway type of gap where NASDAQ does not trade into it. ES runs Friday's bar high and we get that move back down and look for levels in the previous day wick. And I would like to ultimately get down here. That's kind of my ultimate objective for the NASDAQ. So that's kind of my game plan, my bias that I am kind of looking for in terms of this week's trading and obviously heading into next week's as well. I don't think you get that big of a move all the way down to 24,151 in today's trading. But I am leaning more bearish than bullish. Again, another thing I want to highlight as well, which is something I talked about in the research report. Where did we talk about the NASDAQ here? Let's go to the NASDAQ. So this is kind of the higher time frame levels I'm watching on the NASDAQ. So this is your weekly range. Obviously the sell-off here from 2025, this was due to all the tariff nonsense that was going on. And then you kind of flip the script there. There's a lot of reverses with tariffs and deals being done. Markets rallied off of that, continued to rally. You made a high at 26,646. And you actually have a higher time frame weekly divergence here with ES and YM. So the NASDAQ made a lower high here, failed to make a new all-time high, and kind of started to break lower on the weekly. But technically the weekly chart's still consolidating. You've yet to really break below this major, I would say this is a major key swing here. And you're kind of just in this consolidation. But in terms of downside, if we do start to get downside here on the weekly chart, these are my levels I'm looking for. So I'm looking for the previous 3-month bar low. And what I mean by 3-month bar low, if you just go to the 3-month chart, the previous 3 months, right? So this starting in October, where we started that new 3-month bar low, that's that low there. So that's what I mean by that. So you can see NQ is a lot closer to that level compared to ES. And you can also kind of see the more, I guess, a more clear version of the divergence where ES ran the previous 3-month bar high, the NASDAQ not able to do that. So to me, that indicates potential, start of a local top in the market, and that's something I would be cautious with. And again, another thing to keep in mind is this is a trader's market, right? This is not an investor's market in my view right now. I think it's a dangerous game to think you can invest in this market and look back 3, 4, 5 months from now and expect to be up 5, 10%. You've been able to do that the last few years. Obviously, there's been drawdowns like tariffs and COVID, but if you just blink, usually those drawdowns go away. But I think with how the market's looking right now, I do think this is more of a trader's market rather than, hey, let me buy this ETF, or hey, let me buy these big tech stocks and I'm going to be up. The next few months, I don't think you get that. I think you get more of a choppy consolidating type of market. So again, nothing too interesting here yet for me. Here's the 930 bar high. Here's the 935. So if I was selling short, this will be a level to short here. Running the open, the 930 bar. If the market's weak, that's what I would want to see. If I was bearish here, I would want to see the market sell off aggressively, seller step in above the 930 open, and continue this ultimate 5-minute trend that we're in right now to the downside. That's like the very bearish, daily bearish thesis I would want to see. A rejection off of that the open, 5-minute bar open. And if I was short, well, I am in a short myself. I entered earlier on. If this does start to trade lower, this would be something where I can start to manage this position if you get a rejection from that 930 open here. Because right now, to me, this just looks like some bar-coded price action where you get move down, move up. You would want to see continuation flushes down here and get some pretty nice bearish engulfing candles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Dow as well. So here's the Dow, looking big wick to the downside here, but trading back up. Here's the daily chart. So you can see what I mean by the daily chart. The daily chart doesn't look great, but technically your structure's still intact, and the Dow has recently made a new all-time high 8 days ago, so not too long ago, and the daily still looks fine in my opinion. Obviously, if your daily looks fine, your weekly looks fine. It's not the cleanest of moves compared to, you know, if you zoom out. It's not like 2023 or before that, you know, after COVID, the Dow moved very cleanly. But the Dow has continued to trade higher. So that's what this represents here. Going back to, again, those are my key levels on the NASDAQ for the downside. But going back to here, this is what that means, right? The daily and weekly still pretty bullish here on the Dow. Let's go ahead and take a look as well as kind of what's up on the day. NVIDIA up 1.5%. Looks like NVIDIA is leading kind of the balance here. 1.6%. Amazon's up 1.5%. Meta's down. So it looks like Meta's the only one that's really down right now. So I would just say NVIDIA is kind of the main driver here. So I think that's the one to watch. But again, nothing too interesting. Here's the 4-hour chart. So obviously the trend here on the 4-hour, I would say, leans more towards bearish in my view. As you have the high here, low, lower high, kind of made a double top here and continued lower. Right? Got to move back up to your major high here, but just did not see any strength above that. Continued lower. Have a high here, lower high. Would want to see this kind of just trickle back down. That's kind of my simple analysis there. So I would say the 4-hour definitely leans more towards bearish. I guess we can look at the 1-hour. Nothing too interesting here on the 1-hour. Just looks pretty, to me, I just see a trading range from this high. And then you have this low. To me, the market, maybe the NASDAQ does want to make a move all the way back up to this high here. And maybe you get a run on this high before going lower. To me, it doesn't make sense for that. It could happen because ES already ran the high. So I don't see much of a reason for that to happen. But again, I don't have a crystal ball that tells me that can't happen. So let me go ahead and mark out here's your low of the week as well. Low of week. This was the previous week, so you can see the NASDAQ ran the previous week. Obviously saw some bidders there, traded it higher, but here's the low of the week. Go ahead and mark out the low of the day, which I'm pretty sure just Where's the low of the day at? 645. So there's your low of the day on the NASDAQ. Here's the low of the week. Here's your kind of trading range high. Trading range as well right now. It's not that big. Obviously, it's points wise. We look at the New York trading range so far. It's nothing crazy. So right now, it looks like the volatility is not great, not very high. And what I mean by that is just take the low of the open to where we're at right now. The high, only 116 points, right? You can make money with this trading range, but compare that to like something like this. Right, this was the high to low, kind of that's 360 points. Take a look at like another example. Where's a different open? This open right here. This open was pretty choppy. A lot of wick saw price action. This is a good example. Look at this open. The high, the 930 open. So this is your high of New York. I mean, from 1130, 586 points. I guess where we're at right now, 945. 45. I guess it wasn't that difference. About 152 points. But so far, not a very too interesting type of trading range right now. So just looking at this 5 minute, it looks like the market does want to trade higher for now. This is your high to watch for in terms of like the 5 minute trend lower. This is your high, low, high, lows, high. So for me, I would want to be a buyer probably above this level to take you up to here. I would not be buying right here. I apologize for the noise at the background if you hear it. It's just the ice machine's on. One thing I do think that helps me with my trading as well, especially intraday trading, and a lot of people view day trading as, you know, just looking at the 5 minute chart or 15-minute chart. But I do think coming in with a better understanding of actually what's going on in the markets is very useful, and that's something I write about on the Primate Trading website, is kind of understanding where we're at right now in terms of the trading market and the trading environment. If the market's going to be, you know, if your higher time frame and the fundamentals kind of match a more consolidation type of market where, you know, you get impulse moves, but then sellers step in and reverse that impulse move, and then you get a very, you know, big sell off, but then buyers step in, and you just get a very whipsaw back and forth type of market. Well, if you see an explosive move in a lower time frame and you don't understand that that's the current type of market condition, and you see a big move on lower time frame and you enter in big size thinking, oh, this move's so big, and you see these big candles on the 1 minute, 5 minute chart, but the higher time frame is looking a lot different in the environment, right? Because I would say the tech environment is definitely, there's a lot of uncertainty in the tech environment right now. Extreme uncertainty. That does not mean tech is useless, but I talk about this a lot. I use AI every day. It's very useful, but in terms of the valuations, in terms of the onboarding, you know, regular people, in terms of implementing this into everybody's daily life, there's a lot of uncertainty behind that. And CEOs have come out. Sam Altman has come out and talked about he's kind of worried about the progression of AI and how slow it's kind of been in terms of the adoption in certain areas, and that literally can hurt valuations, and that will change people's models, and that can cause selling in the market, which it has. I think that has played a part in the recent selling. So we are looking just for, my main idea is just continue downside in the market. Not looking for a big crash, obviously, but again, weekly levels, looking just for a move back down in this huge trading range from 17,143 all the way up to 26,000. I mean, how many points is this? 9,483 points. A 55% move in 200 days. Pretty crazy stuff. I'm going to mark this out. Just this is your low of day. And this was the low. What was this, previous week low? I think. No. Is that previous week low? Current weekly low. Low of week. And then this is your previous 3-month bar low. So what we have here as of right now is the trend continuing lower for now. Again, the major high, not major high, but the lower time frame high is that 830 high. Preferably would want to see it stay below there and kind of just continue lower with these lower highs here. And I know it's very simple. I know you think, oh, I mean, that's just too simple to work. But that's just the market's trend, right? The market's trend on the lower time frames. They trend on the higher time frames. And at the end of the day, my personal thing to use is market structure. I am a big advocate just keeping things simple and looking at market structure to give you a idea of where things are at, and then risk is kind of where I view gives you your edge. And obviously using context within your trading is severely important. Understand the fundamentals, understand the current market environment. Very, very important. Let's see, Nvidia's still up. Nvidia up, but I believe Amazon's trading lower. Not too much. So Nvidia, let me turn this to extended trading hours. Trading lower last 15-minute bars. I do want to see, let me go back to the NASDAQ here and look at. So NASDAQ did trade down into the regular trading hours gap from the close to the open. Which I guess we can mark that out actually. Let's go ahead and mark this out from, let's just do here. So the close here was at 27.7. So here's your regular trading hours. So the bear case would be get below that regular trading hours gap. Right now, it's a hard read because you're making a lower high, but you're bouncing at the regular trading hours gap. So still leaning towards lower, but that's what I would watch there. Bouncing at the regular trading out. To make sure my mic works, sorry, apologize. one thing I've been doing recently as well is kind of adding into trades, starting off small. I feel like the markets have, it's been hard to kind of get a good read on the markets. I feel like you get one direction, then you get another, right? You may feel extremely bullish, and then things flip, and now you're feeling bearish, right? You're feeling bearish, flip back bullish. I think adding in small first to kind of get a feel of the market. Starting to get a move here. Still below that high, so I would not, nothing's too interesting yet for me. But starting in small, like in a small position first, and then once it's kind of going in a direction and it's a little more clear, adding into it, right? I wouldn't particularly add into losses. I've done that, and over time, at least since I've been trading, there's been a lot of instances where it works, right? Where you're in a trade is going against you, and you keep adding into that loss, and then eventually you get that move back down, right? And then you make profit, but you risked, you know, 500, 600, 700 bucks to make 100, 200, 300 bucks, right? In the short term, I feel like there is somewhat, I wouldn't say it's an edge. I would just say there's short-term profitability there, but in trading, it's a long-term game. And that causes a lot of stress too when you're adding into a loser, and mentally, I feel like that's draining. Physically, I feel like that's draining. But from my trading, I've done that before, where I added into losing trades, continued to add into it, averaged out my entry to get it closer to where price is at, and a lot, I would say more times than not, it actually, you know, worked, where I was able to make a profit and get out of the trading day with a profit. But when it doesn't work, which it may be, maybe it's a 5% chance, maybe if it's a 10% chance, which that's kind of what it felt like, probably like a 10% chance where it doesn't work, and you have a 90% chance where it does. That 10% chance is all it takes for everything to just go. So I think that's important to understand as well, because I feel like a lot of traders do that. I think a lot psychologically it makes a lot of traders do that because they don't want to lose. They add into it, and so here on the 5-minute, you got to move all the way up to the 830 high from the regular trading hours gap. Again, regular trading hours is just, you can change the setting on the bottom right. You can see it's just the gap from the close of the market. So if you go to the 15-minute here, the close of this 4 p.m. candle to the open of the 9:30 candle. So this 9:45 candle traded back down into that, seeing a reaction off the regular trading hours and trading higher off that. So it looks like we are going to get a move up to the, which is something I did not want to see for in terms of lower prices, but again, just shows that you can't predict things. Let's see where ES is at. You see ES back at that level. Oh, where's that level? Go to the hourly chart. There we go. So ES back at that level there. NASDAQ getting close to it. Nvidia up 2% on the day now. Not a trending market here on the video. Amazon. It's been getting melted the last 2 weekly candles here. Seeing some life on the 3rd weekly candle. Google kind of just been trending lower. Meta. Nothing too interesting there on Meta. I would say that monthly chart does not look great for Meta, but see what Bitcoin's doing here. Yeah. Doing what Bitcoin has done best, which is do nothing. Ethereum as well. Nothing interesting there. US trading higher. What is the high a day here? There's a high day. Right now, just continuing higher for now. I'm pretty surprised to see. This is what I did not really want to see here on the NASDAQ, at least. Make a move back up to the Friday high. And again, the reason for that is ES already traded up to that high off of this 2 a.m. candle. So pretty much during London session today. So I'm surprised to see that. And the type of move you're getting is just, I guess this was, in hindsight, a move back down to the regular trading hours. That's kind of the only retracement you got, and then trading back up. So there's the move to the Friday high there on the NASDAQ. So watch what happens here as we start getting above this level. Again, just a slow climb here. Not much I can really do with this right now. Off my system, at least. Because how I think about it is, if I enter long at this price here, where am I putting my stop? Right? Again, you could base it off just points, maybe base it off how much you want to risk, but I typically like basing it off structure. Like this, in hindsight, obviously this is a hindsight idea, but let's say you were bullish and you entered long off this pullback here at 947. Enter long here, you at least have some sort of swing, some lows in the market to, you know, put a stop loss. And then you look for Friday's high. You look for your kind of 7 a.m. high. I guess that would be the high of day there, right? So at least you had some structure there. That's not kind of what I was leaning towards, though. This is a pretty big move now in terms of the trading range, just straight up. So from low of 930 to here, around 300 points. Nothing too interesting here. Here's the Russell. Russell seeing a nice move to the upside, which I do think the Russell is, obviously we'll see some outperformance in terms of the bigger picture view when you compare it to, that's actually, this is a very clean example of a nice trade here. So was that, looks like that was 2 a.m. Wow, yeah, this is a very clean trade here. So Russell, low of day, ran low of day, very big move to the upside, which this is very clean because it fundamentally makes sense technically. Obviously, this is a nice technical setup, but low of day run, and then that's very beautiful. Sell off during 930 to low of day, instant bid, 930 high, holding as support there and continuing higher. That's very clean on the Russell. A lot cleaner than this. I do want to see if this works here. Let's go to like the NASDAQ here. Let's look at so does this data, I still want to make sure it's kind of, so low of day 27,775, the open, the high 24,965, 24,965. I don't think, yeah, that hasn't updated, so still something I'm trying to get so it updates. Why is the open 24,965? 24,966.50. So the low day is right. Okay, this is changing. So this is something I need to fix on the site. This is changing with the current price, which is not right. That's not what that should be. So that's something I'll work on. So again, the levels I have marked out here just on the 1 minute chart. This level here is just a 15-minute low from the 11th. The level here is the 4-hour swing high, Friday's high, which honestly I did not want to see the NASDAQ trade up to. But the market's going to do things you don't expect, and you just got to be able to manage risk accordingly. I did not want to see the NASDAQ do that, but it did. And I thought we'd potentially start to see a sell-off from around here, I believe. Yeah, around here. I thought we'd start to see a sell-off here because ES ran that high. But we did not. And we traded back down into the regular trading hours gap. So again, what that is just the regular trading hours. From the close, from 4 p.m. to the open at 9:30. Equities open at 9:30. So there's that gap there. Your 945 came back down, traded into that level, and you saw it move back up. I would say the NASDAQ, the move you got here just was not clean in my opinion. And kind of how I trade, it's not something in hindsight looks good, but it's just something that I really couldn't have caught based off how I trade. And it's just kind of a slow grind higher. Whereas the Russell, if we're looking at the Russell, this is a very, very clean. So the Russell came down to the low of day. So your 8 p.m. low. Russell came down at 9:30. Traded to low of day. Bounced off low of day and traded back up. So very, very clean move on the Russell. YM, kind of the same 9:30 type of drop. I guess, was this kind of the same thing here? Yeah. The Dow pretty similar to the Russell. So this is your low of day here. Very, very similar trade on the Dow. It's very interesting because we're seeing like metals, because yesterday was a down day for the markets. Today's an up day for the markets. Yesterday a down day for metals, up day. I don't know. The price action has been very, not odd, but it's just been very interesting with how the metals are moving and how the stock indices are moving. It's pretty interesting. There we go. So NASDAQ trading up to the 15-minute low. In terms of continued higher prices here on the NASDAQ, I mean, you don't really have much else. So this will be a level to watch out for. Other than that, I mean, you could get a run all the way up to 25,300s, because that would be the start of this kind of impulsive move down. So I'd watch here at 25,068. If you don't get anything clean there, don't get any sort of clean rejection there, I mean, it just looks like a potential move back up to the start of the impulsive move down here. Personally, I would not want to see, as I would want to see continued weakness in this market, and these type of runs that you are getting in the market where you do get, you know, this is a pretty big up day for the market, kind of gets sold into. That's the type of price action I would want to see. So again, all markets kind of just trending up. Nikkei trending higher, UK 100 higher, German 40 higher, Russell higher. Everything, well, IMV not trending higher, but so starting to see some sort of reaction here at this swing over here. So this is Wednesday's low. I'm not sure, did we have news here? What low is this? What time? 10:15. I don't think you had anything there. But it is a big low in the market, as you got a pretty impulsive reaction. Big sell off and then kind of just reverted it. So Dun, dun, dun. Nothing interesting yet. Again, I'm just waiting for some sort of reaction at our level. That's really all we can wait for here. That. So look here. Yes. So yes, coming back up above the, so making a new high day. Again, there's just nothing super clear here for me. This ES chart on the 4 hour just does not look good in my opinion compared to like the NASDAQ chart. But we'll see. Remember if I had. Should be good. I am working on another report that I will have. It's not a market music or a market update. It's more of a kind of just. Well, I guess it's more. It is a market update, but it's not going to be one of the weekly market outlooks. It's going to be something else. That will be posted. I want to say by tomorrow or Friday. I want to say by tomorrow or Friday. So again, that will be posted on here. Added, I don't know if I posted a video about this, but I made it easier to access. So you can just hit the, I think it's called the Delta key, underneath your escape button, and just, you know, type in or go down with the keyboard and just go to research. You can go to the videos, you can pull up this. It's going to give you an idea of the US stock indices, what's up on the day, how much they're up on the day. So if NASDAQ up more, well, I guess it makes sense. All markets are kind of pushing, so all markets are going to trade higher, then NASDAQ's going to be up more. But year to date, NASDAQ's still down. Live price, again, I'm still working on this. It still needs to be better updated. I feel like it's getting better, but still something I need. Excuse me, still something I need to work on, as it doesn't match, you know, live data perfectly. But you can do that. You can pull up this, look up NQ, pull up this, pull up YM, pull up, you know, that. Do ES. I think we have BTC on here, so you can pull those up, drag them around, have them on here. Maybe you want to have the research report up. Again, this will be more useful once I work on the live trade section. It'll be a little more useful. Because this page, live trades will probably be a page you'll have up more and like be looking at during your trading day rather than the research, right? But you should get the idea there. Pull up the chat. Again, we have a live chat here. Just pull up the chat from there. Again, all this is free. Live chat, already talked about that, and then you have my videos here. I try to upload a video pretty frequently. It's not an everyday thing, but I do want to try to do, you know, 2 videos a week at least. So those videos you can find there. And then I think that's everything. Again, I'm working on kind of these pages, the NASDAQ page. You can just search up NQ, and it'll pull up a dedicated NQ analysis. I want to obviously this is going to be more in depth, but it's something I'm working on slowly. I want to build out the seasonality, the market structure section, but it's a very basic page right now. So very, very basic. I guess something I can add on here too, which I'll take note of, is like a live section. So people are on the site, they can see I'm live and maybe see the stream. That'd be an interesting thing to add. So let's see here. Nothing interesting here. Just markets trending higher. If I'm not in long already, I would not want to be long. Where we're at right now. In hindsight, obviously, this was the long down here. But I would definitely say the Russell a lot cleaner. Very beautiful move on the Russell there. Because you can see the difference, right? Russell, low of day. Or that's why. YM, same thing. But Russell, low of day. 930 drop down, low of day. 931 engulfing above the 930 bar open. And then the 930 high open could not get below it. So bidders are bidding that level holding there. And that would be kind of your... Obviously, I did not take this, but this is just showcasing a much better idea of a trade. Much cleaner. Something like that. All right. But just nothing too interesting when it comes to like the NASDAQ right now. And you had the same idea here, but it's just you didn't run low of day. I guess technically you ran your London lows somewhat, even though London Open's not thin. So yeah, just nothing super clean for me here. Let me pull up the NQ chart. Again, if anybody's seeing this live or not live, I do recommend signing up for the primary trading site. 100%. There's nothing paid on this. It's 100% free, and it's kind of just a passion project of mine to kind of build out and provide my analysis and updates and videos and all that to you guys, all in one section. I've been all over the place. I feel like the last year or two, kind of with my content and videos and market updates and articles. And I just kind of I want to have everything in one place where I can just say, hey, go to primarytrading.com, get everything there, rather than you got to go here for the articles, go to Discord for the videos, go here for this. I think that's, I feel like that's a little too much. So I've enjoyed working on it. Still want to take a look at Bitcoin, see if Bitcoin's doing anything at all. Not really. Nothing interesting here. I mean, while we're waiting on this, let me send this out. What is that? No, that's... Two eight. That should be good. One second, guys. I gotta take a call real quick. Again, nothing too interesting before I do take this call. Nothing too interesting right now. Just trading, making a new high a day. For lower prices, I do want to see lower prices, but we need to see some sort of displacement shift in the structure here. It's very, very weak in terms of the downside. Big impulsive move, the swings, the retracements, you're just not getting them. So for now, I would not want to be a buyer here. I guess the next big level would just be the start of that impulsive downside move. Which if I was, as a person that's leaning more bearish, I just wouldn't want to see that. So I don't know. Just a lot of just being patient here is best. So give me a second, guys. Hey Azim, how you doing? It's been a while. How you doing? How are you doing? Sorry guys, I'm back. I think I will be unless I need it. Hold on. Oh, I gotta make one more call. Give me a few seconds, guys. A few minutes. All right, I'm back. Apologize. Pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Weeks gone by pretty fast, I feel like. I'm doing good. I'm glad you're good. I don't know how much. I'll probably give this another few minutes here. Again, nothing too interesting that piques my interest right now. Overall, the same kind of idea still stands. Let me just remove all my drawings here and just go to the daily chart and kind of break this down. And then if anyone has any questions as I'm kind of giving my thoughts here, let me know, and we'll go from there. So just the daily chart here on the NASDAQ, I would say leans more bearish and bullish. Technically you are in the trading range, so you have kind of your major high here, major low here. So this is kind of the trading range I see on the NASDAQ right now on the daily chart. And I would like to see a potential move to the low end of that trading range. Okay, this is also the previous three-month bar low. So if you go to your three-month chart, I'm looking for that previous 3 months to be ran there. There's a possibility you kind of just get an inside bar here on January. So January, February, March. That means you would still have a whole nother month. So I don't know if you get that. It could happen. I wouldn't want to see that, but that is a possibility right now. So you can see you have a pretty, not huge wick, but you have a wick to the upside, wick to the downside, and you're kind of just trading in that range right now. So that's my view on the daily chart. I would definitely say it leans more bearish and bullish, but again, it's not aggressively bearish. Aggressively bearish is something like this, where you had a trading range, you broke beneath that trading range, and you started to make some lower highs here. I would say definitely that the March 26 high, that lower high there, presented a good setup lower. But you're not seeing this type of price action breaking beneath the range. You're still in the range, right? Here's another example, starting to break down, lower highs, lower lows, pretty clean bearish range here. Again, more examples here. This is kind of, technically you're still bullish on the higher time frames, but you're trending lower, right? And you're not in a range. Here you're just in a pretty big range right now. So nothing too interesting there on the NASDAQ in terms of the higher time frame. Waiting for myself to see where we're going to trend to. 4 hour, not much different. At the start of this live, we were looking for lower prices on the NASDAQ as ES ran that Friday high, and I wanted to see the NASDAQ kind of just continue its trend that it's been doing on the 4 hour. 4 hour trend, lower, higher, low, continuing lower here. So very clean trend on the 4 hour here on the NASDAQ. Wanted to see this, I believe it was this candle here. We had a lower high from the Friday high where ES ran that high. Okay, so I did not want to see us continue higher, but we did. Continued higher, and that's just something that will happen. So right now, I just don't have a clear read on the 4 hour chart. That's kind of what I was interested in. Nothing's very, very clear here to me. You are trading to this prior low. The next other level, it would just be the high end of this impulsive move down. So around the 28 270s, 28 or 25 370s, 25 270s, around that level. That would be the next potential level on the NASDAQ. Above that, obviously, you have your old 4 hour high, and then continue higher. You have old highs here, and then obviously all-time highs, which I would be pretty surprised if the NASDAQ trades up to all-time highs. I'd be very surprised. I just don't think that makes sense in my view right now. But again, just because it doesn't make sense in my view doesn't mean the market can't do it. So that is that. So I guess my main takeaway on the NASDAQ, still looking for lower prices. As long as I would say the daily stays below 25,465. I think that's something I talked about in the market outlook here, if I'm not mistaken. And again, you can sign up to this site for free, primatetrading.com. Everything on here is free. I believe it was this high. Yeah. So this was the high I wanted to see. So it's annotated with E. I do not want to see price trade back up to that level, which I am pretty surprised by this upward move here. But we're still below there, so for now it's still reasonable, but didn't want to see this type of move. Gold, silver, all your metals, nothing too interesting here. Gold obviously looks better than silver. I think long term, obviously gold still trades higher, but I would not be really trying to short gold right now. I mean, the trend is still bullish. Even though you have this huge drop on the daily chart, you're still bullish. Weekly chart, long wick to the upside, technically you're still bullish. I mean, weekly trend is still intact, so that is that. Crypto, not even going to spend much time covering this. Daily chart does not, I mean, there's nothing here really. I did talk about a potential long setup here on Bitcoin. Where was it? It was around here. This was in one of the videos on the site. I don't know exactly where it was, with the stop below the major swing, and then looking, you know, for something like this and maybe higher. So that would be a setup. The main point of this setup that I talked about was understanding to not place stops underneath a swing where you just don't have clear structure. If you did that, in this case, you would have gotten stopped out. And you also have to understand your risk, obviously. But you got a nice move, just Bitcoin kind of reversed most of it. So as long as you stay above that daily swing, maybe you get a continuation trend higher and you just get like a slow move like this. Maybe you get a move back up, move back down to 70s, move back up 75s, maybe back down to like 71s, and just continue higher there on Bitcoin. I think short-term Bitcoin looks fine for maybe higher prices, but bigger picture, you still got a lot to look at. So that is that. And then Ethereum, same thing here. Ethereum saw some outperformance yesterday, but kind of just reversed it. So there's not much here on these daily candles. All right, so I think that's going to be everything that I do want to cover. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'll wait for a few minutes. If not, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. NASDAQ just continuing higher on the 5-minute. It's just all markets just holding strong right now. M&Q, ES, the Dow a little weaker, it looks like, but still up on the day. Russell up, so everything pretty much just up on the day. All right, with that, I do think we'll go ahead and end it off here. I will be probably live again potentially tomorrow during the open. I do want to start live streaming again. Again, if you guys would like, go to primatetrading.com, sign up for free. Sign up for free here and get access to my reports and videos, and be able to use some tools that I'm adding on here as well. Live chat feature that I'll be typing in and talk about the markets, etc. So I'll go ahead and link that in the chat if you guys would like to sign up. Again, it's free. And with that, I will go ahead and end it off here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys most likely tomorrow.